What was really at the time, what was very striking though, was the whole thing with reduced cardiovascular disease and heart disease. They knew about cholesterol in those days. So cholesterol is a type of lipid. It's not a fat versus not a fatty acid. It's a sterol. It's a type of lipid. They knew about cholesterol then, and they knew that it was associated with heart disease, but they didn't have the whole mechanism worked out as we know now, right? And this is why, as I was saying at the beginning as well, a lot of high fat diets that people used initially, they also had cholesterol in there as well as the high fat and stuff like that, and that can confound things, right? So there was actually a group, Ramsden et al. Reanalyzed some of the original data from one of these landmark studies. I think that one was from the 1970s, called the Sydney study. And what they found was that in another cohort of people, this was a study out of Australia, men went to the ER with some sort of heart event, or having a heart attack or blocked arteries or something. And then they were given treatment, so they were okay from the heart standpoint. And then they were given a diet where one was either had regular margarine and butter and stuff, and the other one was a diet with margarine made from soybean oil and unsaturated fatty acids. And so what they found was that the trial participants, the men in the study that were actually taking the types of fat that have high linoleic acid in it and other polyunsaturated fatty acids, they actually ended up having more heart disease, more cardiovascular disease, and more all-cause mortality than the group that had just the regular saturated fat from animal fats. So the thing is that we have this, and there's a lot of other studies that have come out saying that high linoleic acid is really good for the heart, and particularly they've got human studies suggesting this. So some of that's called into question, and people aren't really addressing that. We've never really looked at the heart in our mice, so we can't make any comment about that. All we can say is that we know that soybean oil definitely makes the mice obese, and will presumably is making humans obese as well. But there has to be this not a reconciliation, but we have to have an active scientific direct conversation about really how much LA is good for you. Because the American Heart Association is keep putting out that more and more LA is good. I see where they're coming from with that, but it's like, how do you then?
Well, I mean, they're basically saying it's good because it lowers LDL cholesterol, period, end of analysis. What's funny about everything you just told us and what we're talking about is I just got back from Florida from a conversation with Ganesh Holiday, whose lab studies the effects of polyunsaturated fatty acids on heart health. And basically what they find is that similar diets to what you use, high in linoleic acid, make outcomes in mice from heart attacks even worse. So there's it's not all good when it comes to cardiovascular health. And the analysis of the AA, as far as I can tell, is simply LDL goes down, therefore it's good for your heart, period.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, but there's also a balance of LDL and the HDLs, because if you have high HDLs, it can counterbalance high LDLs. This was known from a study couple decades ago in Italy. There's this family that lived to be 90 or 100 years old, and yet they had super high levels of cholesterol in their blood. It turns out they have a genetic mutation in the ApoA1 gene, which is the protein in HDL. And because of that, they have high levels of HDL. And if you have high levels of HDL, it's very protective against heart disease, right? So yeah, there's still a lot of things that we need to figure out.
Yeah.